how did I wind up here? That's actually an interesting story, because I had not really even heard of LeTourneau before my son applied to LeTourneau University. Now, we were living in South Carolina, and I was working. I wasn't looking for a job or anything like that. And my older two children went to a Christian university in our area. It was about an hour away from the house. And my son Bryn wanted to be an engineer. And that little school up near our house was only a liberal arts school. So there was no option for engineering. So we started looking into Christian engineering schools, because that middle son of mine had just become a believer. So we started looking, and my wife remembered hearing about LeTourneau University. She has a cousin that went here and graduated from here many years ago. So Bryn applied. They came down, did the preview, and absolutely fell in love with the place. My wife loved it. My son loved it. We said, okay, fine. This looks like a good place. We looked at some of the in-state schools, and they were okay, but they were too big. You know, LeTourneau, you can actually build a relationship with the professors, interact with the professors. And Bryn really liked that. Plus that, and there's just the fact that it's very hands-on. So he decided, no, this is definitely where I want to go to school, which is great. So we're thinking, this is the first time we're going to have a kid actually that far away. Now, my other two lived on campus, but, it was only an hour away. Something happened, we could just drive up there. But this is, we're in South Carolina and LeTourneau's in Texas. So we're thinking, how are we even going to deal with that? But we just prayed about it and not there. So I'm at my house. Bryn's out taking a walk out in the woods. There were woods near our property. And he was out taking a walk in the woods, and a phone call comes in, and it's Dr. Matthew Green from the engineering department, and he introduces himself, and he said, this is Dr. Matthew Green from LeTourneau University. And I was an adjunct at another university, so I said, I'm Dr. Glyn Gowing from, such and such university. And Dr. Green and I started talking, and to make a long story short, he asked if I'd be interested in teaching online, which is exactly what I did at that other university. I had a regular full-time job, and I taught online. And I said, yeah, sure, I'd love to be able to teach for a Christian university. And then he said, would you be interested in a full-time position, when he found out that I had a PhD in computer science? And I said, yeah, I'll take a look at it. So within an hour, I had an application in my email. Filled out the application, got the references and all of that. And, they called me, I talked to them. Now, unknown to me at the time, they were specifically looking for 2 years. They had been looking for somebody and really wanting to get somebody who specialized in cybersecurity. That is my PhD, is in cybersecurity. So again, I didn't know this at the time. I just going along and came in, and phone interviews. They brought me down here. I did my sample interview, my sample lecture on security-related topics. And just everything started to fall together. The timing came out. This is how we were going to be able to make everything work. I've wanted to teach, I was teaching part-time for another university anyway. I've wanted to teach full-time, but I wanted to do it at a Christian university, a place where I could share my faith and not worry about getting a nasty letter from HR or being fired. And it just happened. Everything just fell into place. God worked everything out, and I got a job offer. So I had maybe a month's notice that I was moving down here. So we pack up everything. Fortunately, our house in South Carolina was on my in-laws' property. It was a farm. So we had, 2 houses on the farm. So we didn't have to worry about selling the house or anything like that. So we could just come down here. The university they let us stay in one of the on-campus apartments, so we'd have time to find a house, so we didn't have to worry about that. God just worked everything out, just step by step by step. it just timed out, it just worked out perfectly that we wound up here. And it's been great. It's challenging, it's exciting, it's fun to see what's going on, working with students, this research and things like that. Like, we have a brand new cybersecurity lab. So we've set up a new cybersecurity program. It's one of the reasons they wanted me, was to get that set up. And we're bringing in industry standard certifications. We are, bringing in students. The program has grown. About 1/3 of our incoming computer science students these past 2 years has specifically been cybersecurity students since we started this program. And we've seen an increase in applicants. So this program is drawing people into the university, which is great, because LeTourneau, in my mind, is the best place to study cybersecurity. Because, frankly, I'm teaching these people how to do some really dangerous things. I'm teaching them how to break into computers. I'm teaching them how to find things that are hidden on computers. And of course, if you know how to find stuff that's hidden, you know how to hide stuff. So honestly, if you think about it, I'm teaching them everything they need to know to commit serious crimes. But the difference here at LeTourneau is everything that we do, everything has that foundation of our Christian faith. We emphasize that in our classes. I emphasize that when I teach the students how to do these things. We use the same techniques as the bad guys, except what we do is we try to find the holes in the vulnerabilities so that we can fix them. Or we use our technical knowledge to help missionaries be able to protect their data, for example. Because again, I'm certified and an expert in digital forensics, so I know how law enforcement is going to do this. I've taught these people how to do these things. So I know how they're going to look for things on a computer, so I understand how to protect information at a much deeper level. And just there are all sorts of opportunities for that, to be able to use that knowledge here at LeTourneau. Again, just because of the solid Christian foundation that this university has. This is not something where you take a couple of Bible classes and you never hear about anything else in your classes. This comes in every class, that we talk about how our faith interacts with what we're studying. And again, in my case, it's really easy, because we're looking at, how people commit crimes, commit computer crimes, and how to prevent it, and just dealing with the issues when you start dealing with that kind of power, because there's temptation involved in that, obviously. So we talk about how God's law fits into all of this. With that lab, again, we have this brand new cybersecurity lab just opened this semester. All top of the line equipment. The students are enjoying it greatly. We're using it, we're utilizing it for all sorts of things, not just security. It's been a great benefit to the university. And frankly, it's, people see that and they say, hey, they're serious, because we are serious about the security program. It is a great opportunity for the students to learn these skills. And we bring in industry-leading certifications as well. So one of them is the Certified Ethical Hacker. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, ethical hacker, but it isn't really. You think about doing these same things the bad guys do, but for good purposes. Again, to find the vulnerabilities so that we can close up those holes before the bad guys find them. And we're working on other things too. It's not just cybersecurity. I'm working on a research project with an engineering professor. I can't go into much detail because apparently it could be patentable. So we're working on something that will benefit the university. What I can tell you is this what we're making will directly benefit the students and will be beneficial to the university, not only for students here, but it can be used to help bring education, bring technical education into underreached and underserved areas as well. And that's one of the great things about LeTourneau. The departments work together. We're all one university, and it's not computer science versus engineering versus history or whatever. We work together because our goal here at LeTourneau ultimately is to glorify God and to serve God. And we do that in part by working with the students. And we do that in part by, developing things. We've got a biomed. I'm not in biomed at all. I just happen to have this guy as a student. He created this adaptive device for this little girl who was born without a left hand. So because she's playing the violin backward, obviously. But so the thing goes on her left hand to hold a bow so she could learn how to play the violin. And this just one of our biomedical students did that. There are people trying to get this, and other people wouldn't touch this project. But this guy said, look, this is something that's going to help this little girl. So he put his mind to it and he made it. It's been great. But that's the kind of thing that happens all the time here at LeTourneau. This isn't just a university. This is a place where people create, where people build, where people serve. That's why I'm here. That's why I plan on staying. And that's why I hope that somebody who's watching this video will look at that and say, this is the place where I want to be. And that's who we are.